welcome on your pathway to success. I'm Kay. I'm the nutritional element of your journey. Why am I here? I'm here because to achieve anything in life, you have to be healthy within to be healthy on the outside. And this whole 30 days is going to focus on energizing you from the cellular level. That means that your cells are going to be full of energy to allow you to propel yourself on your right direction off to achieve your success. Now, before we start, if you are on a specific diet or you're under the care and the advice of a general practitioner, although their changes in this program are not negative, you must let them know what you're doing, okay? Please do not stop any prescribed medications and don't stop doing what the general practitioner has advised you to do. So let's move on. Oh, and although this course is predominantly for women and we advocate it for 18 plus, the diet is healthy and you can use it with your children too. Okay, there's nothing different or wrong in it. It's just healthy eating. So that's fine for the whole family to come in on board with that, and partners, whatever. Okay, right. So let's get on to business. So it's week 1 of your journey, and this week you're looking at goal setting. Okay, goal setting has nothing to do with the nutrition element. Doesn't matter what your goal is. Doesn't matter where you're going on the pathway. What is important is you are here because you want to make a change. You're here because you want to find success for you, whether that be coming off a medication, whether it be losing weight, whether it be getting a new job, changing your wardrobe, just something for you. But you are going to achieve your own individual success. And I'm going to help you, but only from the cellular level. Kelly's the one that does all the coaching. We'll leave all that to her. Okay, so week 1. In this week, I've only briefly touched on sugar, processed foods, and GI foods. So let's do a little bit about what they are. Sugar, as we all know, is highly addictive, and it's that comfort food. It makes us feel happy, I suppose. It gives us this warmth feeling. It increases our energy levels. But then wait, what happens? The energy gets used and you're boom. And you sit there slumped in your chair. You feel listless. You've got no energy left. Before you know it, you're disengaged in whatever you were doing. You're not interested, you become a little bit irritable, you're a bit moody, you might have a bit of upset stomach. So sugar is not good. Okay, processed foods. Wow. Processed foods are laden with fat, sugar and chemicals. So you've got 3 double whammies there. And we're going to try and reduce your intake of processed foods. And believe me, everybody has them. But it's what you're doing with them and how many you're eating, and what you're eating and how often you're eating, okay? So everything sort of controlled is fine, and that's what we're going to be doing. Then I've mentioned a little bit about GI foods. Now, traditionally, low GI food index system was introduced to manage those that were diabetic, because the low GI foods are foods that release energy levels slowly. So they stabilize your glucose level in your blood. Preventing the peaks and the troughs so you don't get the ups and downs all the time. You're stable, so you've got energy from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep, and your body's harmonized, it's balanced, it's not having to fight all this negativity all the time. It's not going in fight and flight modes, it's just stabilized, so it's really, really good for you. So what we're going to be doing is on the 30-day journey, you'll be making week 1 changes every week, okay? So it's like you'll make a small change this week, and next week you'll add another change in from this week's activity. So it'll be a 4-week activity change. So what I want you to do is I want you to write a 3-day diary, a diary of all the food that you're eating. Now, it doesn't have to be in great detail. I don't want brands, don't need portion sizes, and we don't really even need the times that you're eating it. Just write a list what you've eaten for 3 days in a row. Not particularly what you've drank. We're just focusing on your food for now, okay? Right, on day 4, you're not going to write about anything. You're going to analyse what you've written. So you need 2 different colour pens, and your first pen is going to highlight all the foods where you physically added sugar. So it might be if you've had porridge and you've added sugar. Sugar could also be in the form of honey, okay? So maybe you've put a bit of honey on top of your porridge. Maybe you've had a nice green tea with a squirt of honey inside it, so that's added sugar. So anything that you've added sugar to, grapefruit sugar on top, anything like that. Then in another colour pen, you're going to highlight everything that you understand to be processed. Now, there might be a few foods on there you're not quite sure, but that doesn't matter. You'll get the gist of it, okay? Now, processed food is basically a food that isn't in its original state. It's something that has been altered. It's been processed, either heated up, squashed and cooked together, added chemicals, or it just doesn't look like it would in its original state, okay? So you're going to identify all those types of foods. Now, the likelihood, if you've got a ready meal on there, that is definitely processed. So that's a tick, and you circle it or do whatever you with it. If you've made a lasagna and you've used the jar of the mix, unfortunately, that's a processed meal. So that has to be circled too. However, if you've had, let's say, a fillet of fish and you've used frozen vegetables, although frozen vegetables are categorized as being processed, they're healthy processed, so they're fine. You can have your frozen vegetables. The only difference is a frozen vegetable is not as nutrient dense as a fresh vegetable. I myself, I'm a busy mum. I work crazy hours, and I use frozen vegetables. Obviously, when I know that I'm off for a couple of days, I will go out and do a vegetable shop, and we'll have the fresh vegetables. But for 9 times out of 10, it's going to be frozen. Convenience and less waste, and so I just need it sometimes. Times of an essence. And olive oil's processed as well, but that's fine as well. But things like salamis, hams, anything that's not normal really. Pot noodles, cakes, biscuits, crisps, sweets, cereals, anything that doesn't look like it should. Okay, so you highlight all those. Then what you need to do is sit back and look at it and say, okay, I've identified that every day I'm eating a ready meal. Okay, what can I do instead of that ready meal? So what you can do is see what ready meal you've highlighted, which one's your least favourite, and make that one the change. So you're not craving your favourite foods until you get the habitual change in place. So let's say you highlighted a frozen tikka masala. Okay, Iceland favourite, tikka masala. Right. You don't need that, okay? It's not that great for you. So let's change it. You could have a medley of roast vegetables served with some, whole grain rice, some couscous or something like that. We can replace it, and that's what you're going to start looking at, how to replace the foods. And if you start with the foods that you don't particularly love that much, it's easier because you're not craving your favourite foods. Okay, so you're going to highlight those and see which two, one sugar, one processed, or two sugars and two processed, or however many you feel capable of doing, you're going to address this week and remove them and replace. What you're also going to do is you're going to have a look at the GI list. There's a GI food list that I've created for you. Now, GI foods, like I said, are for diabetes people. They stabilise your sugar. They are predominantly vegetable and wholesome foods, okay? They are really good for you. So what you're going to be doing is when you're removing your processed meal or your processed foods from your menu that you see, you're going to see if you can add in these GI foods. It's easier said than done, but you can do it. It just takes a little bit of juggling and a little bit of thought, okay? Now, those are what you're going to do every week. So each week, so say this week you identify that you're not going to have sugar in your tea and you're not going to have your ping processed special rice, right? Special fried rice, you get it in your frozen ready meal. You're not going to have that. You can actually make your own rice. So next week, then you might identify, you don't need to rewrite your 3 days. You go back into your 3 days, have a look and go, okay, I eat too many sweets. So then look at which sweet you don't like. What one really doesn't tick all the boxes for you? What one can you do without? Yeah, it's not that. I don't need it. Remove it. Get rid of it. And then look at your GI list and see what's on there. Your walnuts or Brazil nuts or your almonds or something like that, or chopped up carrot sticks. I know they sound boring to you, but this is a change. This is a transition. The minute you start changing your taste buds through not eating chemicals and processed foods, you taste the wholesomeness of natural food and you want more. So the change will occur naturally. So each week you're going to change something. So at the end of 4 weeks, if you're working at a minimum, you'll have 4 changes, okay? If you're working at maximum, you could have up to 12 changes, which will be absolutely amazing. So the whole idea is that you're going to remove and add from the GI. Remove, add from the GI. Okay? I think that's quite straightforward. Now, what I also want to stress to you is you've got to keep hydrated. You've got to drink enough water. We all drink tea, coffee, juices, whatever, but still start, and get that water intake in you. Your cells need water. They love it. Without going into the biological structure of your cell, you have a semi-permeable membrane, okay, that's got little bits all like this. We've got the inside of the cell here, and we've got the outside of the cell there, and it's all protected by a membrane. So this membrane is fatty. It's got fat in there, okay? And it needs water as well, because you've got little heads in there that are water loving. So if they become dehydrated, they're not functioning effectively. And that can also then slow down your digestive system, which means that you're not absorbing the nutrients that you need, and your cells are depleted, and you get deficiency occurring. And before you know it, you've got skin outbreaks, you've got joint pain, you've got inflammation, you're dizzy, you're fatigued, you've got brain fog. It's just oof. So that's what we're avoiding. So you need to start focusing on your hydration levels. Okay, so quick recap then, because you've done really well so far. You're going to remove 1 sugar from your daily diet. You're going to remove a processed food from your daily diet. And you're going to introduce a GI food. Now you can introduce more GI foods if you want, that's fabulous. But what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be keeping those processed foods there and adding. We've got to remove and replace, okay? Now, the whole idea of this is it soothes the gut, it stops that inflammation, and it makes your cells work. When you get inflammation occurring from processed foods, high sugar foods, and chemicals, your poor cells are so focused on eliminating that negative food, the food that they don't recognize as wholesome, that they're not absorbing your nutrients. So they cause intestinal hurry. And that's when you can get upset, where you can get the bloating and you can get the diarrheas, maybe even constipation. So we're going to avoid all that, because if you're setting out on a journey and you feel uncomfortable inside and you feel that you've just not got the clarity in your brain, you just can't see the wood from the trees, and it's just, you need to really focus on your cell health. And I'm going to help you do it. So next week, it's a little bit more boot camp-ish. We're going to go a little bit more in there, and you're going to be addressing portion control. So I look forward to seeing you. If you need to ask any questions, please pop them into the VIP Facebook group, and I will hop on as soon as I can and answer them. And just remember, Kelly and I are both here for you during this transition, and nutrition is only a very small element of your ultimate success.